Tonight on To The Point, a Trump-backed budget plan moving through Congress.
Federal dollars for Medi-Cal could be up in the air. How that'll impact the millions of people who rely on health services here in California.
Plus, the federal firings response.
Anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, we'll throw him out of here.
Tonight, Elon Musk defending Doge's actions to Trump's secretary picks. The Menendez brothers' convictions going before a parole board. What could happen next? And in California's insurance crisis. Tonight, the insurance commissioner getting answers about State Farm's proposed rate hike, what it could mean for your bottom line.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And tonight, one of the first actions to avert a government shutdown is making its way through Congress. The Republican-controlled House passed a budget blueprint just last night. The vote was 217 to 215, with one Republican and all Democrats voting no. The budget includes $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and $2 trillion in spending cuts as part of Trump's campaign promises. Now, healthcare spending, particularly spending for Medicaid, could be on the chopping block as lawmakers look to cut over $800 billion over the decade. And tonight, with possible Medicaid cuts, concerns are growing about Medi-Cal, the state's version of Medicaid. Republican lawmakers believe the cuts are needed in California since the state provides Medi-Cal to people regardless of citizenship. So Democratic lawmakers say that these cuts will have a widespread impact that could cause some long-term problems. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is hearing from both sides of the aisle tonight.
On Tuesday, the House passed the Republican budget resolution that included potentially cutting $880 billion over 10 years on health care spending, including Medicaid.
That this is costing California taxpayers $9.5 billion this year alone.
California Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley, speaking from the House floor, says this is needed since the state spends billions on providing Medi-Cal on people regardless of citizenship. Since January 2024, Californians 26 through 49 years old have been allowed to qualify for Medi-Cal, regardless of their immigration status. Undocumented immigrants over 50 have already been allowed to qualify.
When you're the only state that's offering this most generous benefit, it entices people to come to your state.
A spokesperson for the California Department of Finance says Medi-Cal currently costs $9.5 billion regardless of citizenship. Now, of that, $8.4 billion is from the state's general fund, with the remaining $1.1 billion coming from federal funds. Democratic lawmakers believe if the state no longer receives the federal funds, it will have widespread impacts to those who rely on Medi-Cal.
But there is no way possible that they could make up all of that funding. And so what that means is either hospitals close, clinics close, or they drastically reduce services.
Rachel Lynn Gish with the advocacy group Health Access California says Medi-Cal services are crucial to everyone, regardless of citizenship.
We believe that all people should be able to access health care no matter where they were born. It helps not only to have healthy communities and a healthy workforce, but also just a healthy state system overall.
Health Access California, who helps provide access to affordable health care regardless of immigration status, says if the Medi-Cal cuts happen,
we will do our best to fill the places where we can, but everybody will take a hit no matter what.
In Sacramento, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
And the budget blueprint that was passed by the House last night will still need to go to the Senate for a vote. ABC 10 also reached out to the governor's office for comment about potential Medi-Cal cuts, but we have not received a response quite yet. President Trump held his first cabinet meeting on his second term today. Also in attendance was Elon Musk. Trump called on Musk to speak first as tensions grew over Musk's federal workforce cuts. The White House says more than 1 million people responded to Musk's ultimatum just last week, asking workers to list 5 things they accomplished or lose their jobs. Musk defending that email today.
I think that email perhaps was best interpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons? So if you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email.
In defending Doge's actions, Musk also said the department won't be perfect and is moving quickly to fix mistakes. The total impact of these firings in the federal government is not known at this point under the direction of Elon Musk, Thousands of people have been laid off or placed on administrative leave. More have resigned in protest. So I want to go ahead and bring in our political experts joining us once more. We have Democratic strategist Roger Salazar, who has worked under the Clinton administration, as well as Governor Gray Davis. And we also have Craig DeLuz joining us. He is currently the communications director for the California Republican Assembly. Guys, always good to see you. I know we have a lot to get to, so let's jump right in.
Sure.
As we just talked about the federal workforce, the terminations that are happening. Talk about the political backlash, and I want to hear both sides. I want to hear the backlash, but also the support. So, Roger, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I think there's first of all, I think what was concerning to a lot of people was first and foremost the confusion that was going on. They're still arguing over who exactly is in charge of DOGE, for example. They're still trying to figure out who's calling the shots. There's a couple of the secretaries that sent emails to their workforce saying ignore what you're getting from DOGE. So I think that's confusing. It's demoralizing for a lot of folks, and especially those who are deemed essential, and they keep making mistakes. I mean, Musk talked about it in that cabinet meeting today. Hey, we accidentally got rid of the Ebola prevention group, and sorry about that. And so I think, again, we've said this in the last couple of programs, that they need to be a little bit more methodical about what they're doing here.
And not moving too quickly.
No, exactly.
What about the support side? Are you hearing any support for these cuts? Are cuts necessary?
Not on our side.
Well, let me hand things over to you, Craig.
There you go. I think there's plenty of support for the cuts that are taking place. Keep in mind that we had the largest federal workforce ever under any president here recently. In fact, it grew 5% under President Biden, which is, once again, the largest it's grown under any president since the 1980s. I think that as they're going forward, as they're looking to identify things, they're going to make mistakes. The challenge or the issue with past administrations is they're so afraid of making mistakes that guess what they wound up doing? Never making any cuts, never making any real reductions. Sometimes I hate this, if you want to make omelets, you got to break a few eggs.
All right, my next question is, I want to talk about your thoughts on the ultimatum email that came out, asking people to list, what did you do last week? What were your immediate thoughts on that?
Exactly what Elon Musk said it was. It was a pulse check.
So you agree with him?
I agree with him. The idea was, who's out there? What are you doing? And to let people know that we are going to be asking you more questions. We're going to be looking into efficiency, because in the end, the government does not exist as an employment agency. The government exists to serve the people, and they want to make sure that those who are working in a way that actually serves the people.
And I think that again, if you're going to be focused on efficiency, as Musk says he's going to be focused on, you've got to be efficient about how you do it. This was, again, another haphazard way. It was also a very dangerous way. The experts from all around the country were saying this is a massive security risk. Basically, you're highlighting your entire chain to one email, basically making it easy for anybody who is a foreign entity, for example, to go in and basically get a map of the entire government.
One question before we switch topics here. Has DOGE gone too far, do you think?
Well, I don't even know what DOGE is, to be quite honest with you. So I think they've massively overstepped their bounds. They have these folks in there who aren't qualified to be doing the kinds of reviews that they're doing. It reminds me of the entire movie Office Space and how they sort of did their reviews of folks. It's almost comedy.
Yeah, the people that would normally be deemed as quote-unquote qualified made absolutely no cuts and did absolutely nothing to make the government more efficient. In fact, they've grown the government to the largest it's ever been, and gotten it to the point where our deficit is so large. Serving that debt is more than we spend on our national defense.
I have 1 minute, so I do want to switch topics and ask you another question. I know we talked about the budget proposal that was just discussed yesterday. What are your thoughts on Medicaid and what will happen to the program?
Well, keep in mind, there is no specific proposal to cut Medicaid. In fact, the president has made it very clear that Medicare is not going to be touched. What they're looking for is, they're saying this is an opening salvo in a budget negotiations. In other words, we want to see $880 million or billion dollars worth of cuts in that particular area, not in Medicaid, but in the Department of, I believe, Energy and Commerce, under which Medicaid is listed. I think that they're going to be looking on where they can make those cuts, and obviously in the Senate you're going to see a different proposal, and both sides are going to come together and come up with a number that is both reasonable but is significant.
You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I'll make it really quick and really simple. I don't believe President Trump when he says that there aren't going to be Medicaid cuts. They're going to have to.
You think it'll happen?
I think they're going to happen. They've got a lot of money that they want to try and cut out of that budget. They say it's all going to come from fraud. There isn't that much compared to what the number that they're trying to get to. They're going to have to take it out of somewhere, and ultimately, we're going to see that be a big issue in the next election cycle.
All right, thank you both. You already know this is not the end of the conversation. We're going to have a lot more to talk about with these two in our streaming show, so make sure that you don't miss it. All right, still head on to the point. The insurance commissioner questioning State Farm about their rate hike proposal, how it could impact you.
And today was the warmest day of the year so far. It made it to 72 in Sacramento. Tomorrow, even warmer, then a pattern change begins for the weekend.
Plus, why thousands of UC workers are on strike. We're back after the break. All right, let's get a check of your forecast with meteorologist Brendan Minchef joining us. It was nice today. It was the high today.
Yep.
Right? The warmest we've been so far this year, actually.
Yes, that's right. And I think pretty much every day this week we've said it was nice today.
Yes.
That's really been the case.
Great.
We've been upper 60s, low 70s today. Made it to 72 degrees downtown for February 26th. That beats yesterday at 4 days ago at 71 degrees. That was Saturday. So, yes, we've had this really nice stretch where we've been upper 70s, a stretch of upper 60s, and some more 70s. Tomorrow, middle 70s for high temperatures before the pattern changes heading into March, and it is going to be a longer-term change back to cooler and wet. Right now, we're in the 60s across the valley, so out of those low 70s, 65 Sacramento, 62 in Elk Grove, 67 Stockton, 68 Modesto, 50s and 60s in the foothills, 40s up in the high country for current temperatures. Waking up early on Thursday morning, we're going to be looking at those low to mid 40s, mostly clear skies, just a few high clouds out there expected. 40s and 50s in the foothills, 20s up in the high country. Thursday afternoon, I said today was the warmest day of the year so far. Tomorrow is going to be even warmer, mid 70s. Look at this, 76 Colusa, 76 Marysville, 74 Sacramento and Elk Grove, 74 in Stockton and Manteca and Tracy, 76 in Modesto, low 70s in the foothills. But then look how temperatures drop headed into the weekend. We're also going to introduce some rain chances as well. High pressure overhead the next couple of days. Then that moves out and the storm door opens. That's what brings us cooler temperatures and the rain and snow chances for Sunday as well. Now, down in Southern California, it is Oscars Sunday. We're likely going to see some showers. And remember, you can catch the Oscars right here on ABC 10 starting at 3:30 on Sunday. Also starting on Sunday, rain and snow returns to Northern California. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Next on To the Point is Governor Newsom weighs clemency in the Menendez brothers' convictions, what a parole board is now considering. Plus, State Farm facing some questions about their proposed rate hike. Tonight, what the insurance commissioner asked them. Thank you for joining us again. New details tonight in the Menendez brothers' convictions. Governor Gavin Newsom has ordered the state parole board to investigate whether Lyle and Eric Menendez would pose a risk to the public if they are released. Eric and Lyle were found guilty in the brutal killings of their parents, Jose and Kitty, in their Beverly Hills home back in 1989. They have served 35 years of their life sentence. They are pursuing multiple avenues to win their freedom. Clemency from Newsom, a resentencing hearing, and a new trial. The Los Angeles District Attorney last week released a decision saying he opposes a new trial, but hasn't made up his mind on resentencing. Governor Newsom touched on the clemency process on his podcast today.
There's no guarantee of outcome here. My office conducts dozens and dozens of these clemency reviews on a consistent basis, but this process simply provides more transparency, which I think is important in this case, as well as provides us more due diligence before I make any determination for clemency.
No timeline was given for the board's investigation. The proposed resentencing for the brothers is set to be taken up at a March hearing. Right now, tens of thousands of UC healthcare, research, and technical workers are on strike, and this includes 4,000 people right in our area. The strike started at midnight at all UC campuses, hospitals, and labs across the state and is expected to last through Friday. Workers claim there are unfair labor practices. There are 2 different unions involved in this strike. The UPTE president said in a statement, part quote, "We are forced to strike due to UC's persistent unfair labor practices. blowing the whistle as patient and research advocates on a staffing crisis that threatens patient care and critical research, and claims that the university funnels billions into capital projects and inflates top salaries by 40%. The AFSCME president said in a statement, part quote, "By refusing to bargain in good faith, the university has made it clear that it does not value the frontline workers who cleans its facilities, serves food, and treats patients." The University of California system released a statement saying in part quote, "We have offered each union meaningful wage increases, healthcare premium reductions, and other offers to directly address the issues they've indicated are important to their members." All right, let's jump straight into your price points tonight. California's insurance commissioner sat down with State Farm representatives and consumer watchdog to discuss a proposed rate hike that State Farm had submitted after the LA wildfires. State Farm is asking to raise rates by as much as 38% to help cover costs associated with the fires. The company says it has received thousands of claims and paid more than $1 billion, and it wants to increase homeowner policies 22%, condo owner policies by 15%, and insurance for rental units by 38%. California's insurance commissioner set today's meetings to get questions answered.
An immediate question to them was, can you pay out the claims for the current fire victims? As we're operating on day by day. And that was, they assured me that they do have that.
The commissioner also wanted to know about State Farm's plan for the future, as State Farm has said that it is concerned about its credit rating and whether it can buy and continue to pay out all of its claims. Meanwhile, critics say State Farm has a lot to prove in order to secure the rate increase. A new projection tonight has egg prices climbing more than originally predicted, and this is really due to the bird flu that we've been talking so much about. The Agriculture Department says prices are now expected to rise more than 40% this year, which is double the increase predicted just last month. The USDA today unveiled a plan to tackle bird flu. So here are three things that you really should know. There is an investment to help poultry producers implement biosecurity measures, financial relief to farmers whose flocks were affected, and money for research and development of vaccines and therapeutics for egg-laying chickens. The USDA is also considering temporary import options to reduce egg costs in the short term. All right, stay with us on the other side of the break as we celebrate Black History Month, how a local dance studio is honoring African and Afro-Caribbean culture and music. As we celebrate Black History Month, we are taking you inside a dance and drum class that's really all about keeping tradition alive. It was created by a Sacramento woman and her late mother. Classes and performances celebrate the rhythms of West African and Afro-Caribbean music, bringing culture and community together. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen shares the story tonight.
Get into the beat of the African rhythm.
Just be prepared to immerse yourself in the culture a little bit.
And step into the groove.
What's great about folk dance is that it's ideally for the folks, and so we make it accessible to anybody on any level.
This is the Phoenix Drum and Dance Company in South Sacramento. A vision of Olivia Yasmin and her late mother, Angela James.
My mom would always tell a story that all of life began in Africa, and that's part of many of the folk tales in Africa.
Olivia says her mother was a storyteller and aimed to tell her culture story through music and dance.
Well, we're really studying not just African dance, but dance of the diaspora. So how African dance has influenced other art, other forms of dance, other culture, other movements, to really show the interconnectedness of most everybody to Africa and people of African descent.
It was Angela's work that initially caught the attention of David Reed with the Yuba Sutter Arts Council, a nonprofit aimed at providing and engaging local communities in the arts.
And the way they can take an audience through kind of a history lesson, or teaching history through art, the dancing and the drumming and all of the different cultures that speaks to.
Since Angela's passing, David says he can still feel her spirit with the work Olivia has been doing to ensure her mother's legacy.
She's in every, probably in every class, every performance. I mean, her spirit is there clearly. And it's so beautiful that Olivia has continued that tradition and that work and made it her life's work.
Now, Olivia dances to the beat of her own drums, literally.
They're going to see some traditional music and dance from Africa. They're going to see bright, vibrant colors on stage, people smiling.
To inspire others to do the same, Olivia uses her mother's passion of storytelling through music to continue to teach and educate the community.
When you see us perform, you can't help but dance along. You can't help but clap your hands. You can't help but sing with us, and we're going to guide you through that process.
In Sacramento, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
And don't forget, you can watch all of our Black History Month stories on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can find them under our Race and Culture playlist under the News tab. As always, thank you so much for watching and for inviting us into your home. You already know, if you have something that you think we should be looking into, make sure to reach out to me and the team. You can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And To The Point doesn't end here. You can always download our